Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Richard J. Magoma, also known as Mr. Positive Flavors. I MC at events, as I am emceeing right now. Today we are going to look at how to scale our businesses. And if there is somebody who knows about business, it is our speaker. But I have to remind you of a few things. I hope I'll get them right, Jacinta. One of the most important events that we have is the road trip to Meru. You should hit the road to Meru. You're going to see a lot of things in Meru. It is the land of opportunity. I don't know. Vicky will remind me because she comes nearer from there. She'll remind me whether it is the land of opportunity or it's the land of milk and honey.
I think it is the land of
opportunity.
Opportunity.
Eda, yes, it is. Eda Murungi has told us confidently that it is the land of opportunity. Is it land of milk and honey, land of opportunity? Yes, that one. Let us have tea in Meru edition. And the topic will be emerging issues in labor laws and tax compliance. This is on the 5th of June 2026, and it will be at Slopes Hotel, and the cost will be 2,300. M-Pesa till is there 91 74 897 from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And for information, the number that you need to use is that one. Is there another event, Jacinta, other than the Meru trip that we need to announce to the attendees?
No, at the moment we are pushing for the Meru trip. People should come. We have a good time together.
Yes.
As we unwind from the busyness of town.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the discussion. Tell us how your day was by using the stickers that are appropriate to you. You can choose any sticker that you want and tell us how you are doing. And also you can include what you think Vicky should talk about. Vicky is known as the queen of emotional intelligence, psychometric tests, among many other things. Also, the other thing that you do not know about Vicky. Thank you very much, Noah, my good friend. Thank you very much, Wamboi Wangari. She's an entrepreneur, and she's going to tell us how we can scale our enterprises. Without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, put your stickers and the celebrations together. Thanking Nyokabi Lina. Let us bring on board Vicky Karuga. Some people say it Karuga, but you know, I'll just do it. Paul Exuberant. Vicky, karibu. Njoo tuambie vile tunavyofaa.
Asante sana, asante sana.
Karibu.
Asante sana. So good evening, everybody.
Hatukuoni.
Oh, sijaweka camera. Acha niweke.
We're not seeing you. Greetings from Mombasa. That is Patricia Gatwiri. Thank you very much. We have Nyakake still in the day. Very welcome.
Sawa. Asante sana, Coach Richard. So, good evening. It is good evening. Good evening to everyone, wherever you are. Morning, noon, night, wherever you are. It is a pleasure again to be here to speak to you about business. And I think I can give a little bit about my background. I run a company called Profiles International, both as a technical person, or rather started off as a very technical person, which is why I guess Richard talked about me and psychometrics, really delved into that area, into the area of emotional intelligence, lately into the area of teams and how teams can achieve together. But the string of the things that I do has been behind business, a business entrepreneur. I graduated as an architect, but I worked for about 4 years. And then after that, started running my firm, which I ran for about 15 years before transiting into architecture, into this space of talent management. And so I have been with Profiles for the last about 12 years now, 12 to 13 years. So you can see my life has been a lot of business orientation, about 25 years or so of business. I also have the privilege of heading an organization known as the Federation for Women in Business. And in this organization, we really talk matters business. We upskill women, including myself. We go through programs, capacity building programs, to really help us understand the mindset of an entrepreneur who wants to grow. The fun fact is there are a lot of small businesses in Africa at large. In fact, we are the largest in the world in terms of the number of small businesses that there are. But very few businesses move from the small nature into an enterprise. And if you look at most initiatives right now, being run by women in business, also being run by just business growth enterprises such as Wild, Sandbox, and there are very many others. Their key focus now is how do we help African businesses really scale? How do we help them grow, not just to be this thing that tackles possibly one problem with one person, into an enterprise that then most of them, a bigger percentage, growing into the future and evolving as business should. So I'll be talking a lot from my experience, and also a lot from what I have learned in theory, basically. And so here we go. Richard, where is that shared document? Let me know when you see my screen.
Yes, I see it. Now you can make it
Good.
in a presentable mode, so you can enlarge it, so to speak. Very good.
Good.
From
So we're talking
expert
about, yes, from expert to enterprise. An expert here being I am a consultant, or I am, what do you call it? I am a professional, sometimes a professional. I am a small business owner. I sell a product or two. But here, it's really about expert more than anything else. Because most of us start off as consultants. We have a product that we are selling that is a service most of the time. And it is us who probably wonder, how do you then scale from being this expert person to being an entrepreneur? Now, my slides are refusing. What does it mean to scale from an enterprise, from an expert to an enterprise? One of the things that I can ask you as we start this discussion is, what strategies have kept your consulting business resilient through the challenging times and economic shifts? And Richard, you can answer this question for me. What strategies have kept your business resilient through the challenging times and economic shifts?
Oh, you want me to answer that question? Continuous networking and synergizing and collaborating. Actually, collaboration and networking rank very highly. Collaborating with people in the HR space and beyond, making sure that I keep in touch with them so my luck expands as I get to know new people. Yeah.
Okay, so that has kept you going. Collaboration and
networking.
And networking, great. Now, usually that's the question we ask ourselves when we are consulting, when we are one person. Like, how many more customers can I get? Yeah. How do I stay resilient? Usually when we think about the hard times, the first thing we're thinking about is cost cutting. How can I be more cost efficient? Yeah. But when you're thinking about scaling, you're not talking about how you're going to go through challenging times and economic shifts. Your mindset has to change. You're thinking about exponential growth. So the question you start asking yourself, so you're moving from saying, these fuel prices, how will they affect my business, and how do I keep resilient with that? You're moving to saying, what critical elements do I need in my farm, to double or triple its size? And that's a scary thing. So you stop what we call living in, as Maslow says, in the survival space, where it's today and tomorrow, and you start thinking about your business as really viable, to be able to move to the next level. And we have to look at the distinct difference between what is then expertise and what is then enterprise. Expertise is about delivering value. So I have a skill and I will go see a client and I will give them value and I will give the other person value. But in enterprise, we talk about multiplying value. What do I need to leverage on to give the value that I know I have proven is a gap or is a market need that needs to be fulfilled? So here you stop from thinking about, how can my clients trust me more, towards thinking, how can I deliver trusted service to all these people? So we move from being experts to building ecosystems of influence. And this change needs to happen in our minds for us to then consider the things that are really essential for when you're growing and scaling a business. So let's first design a business. What do you define a business as, Richard? And even guys on the chat can give us the definition. What is their version of events when it comes to business?
Let us contribute. Esther Nyakake, what is a business? Patricia Gatiri, what is a business? Charles Kiarie, what is a business to you? I am sure you have your own business somewhere. What is a business? Let us have some feedback from the attendees. What is a business? Providing service or a product, that is Lucy Njoroge. Providing a product or service, that is Lucy Njoroge. Who else wants to contribute? Let us all contribute.
Let's even go to Google.
A business is an organized enterprise that provides goods or services to customers in exchange for payment. Its primary purpose is to meet societal needs while generating economic value.
Thank you. So its primary purpose is to meet societal needs while generating value. And I'm glad I didn't, most classes and ask what is a business. The word that comes out there is that it's a source of livelihood for me. It's a way to make money. Yes, it's a way to make money, but that's not why businesses exist. Businesses exist to solve a problem. And that's the first fundamental shift in your mind that we have to have. Instead of thinking, how much money can I make when I start this business? My thought process is, what problem am I solving? Because you have to have a problem that needs solving. That is how you show value or you add value. And if you have a problem that people really need solved, and then the second thing is they need it solved enough times, many times. And then the third thing is there are enough of these people for you to solve this problem for. So if you have a problem that only affects like 0.001 of the population and they can't even pay for it, and so they're not even enough of them to pay for it, then yes, you will exist, but you're not solving a problem that then might give you what we call the profit, the proof of your business, of your problem being valid, which is now when we get profit, and when we get money, when we generate wealth. And profit is a result of value delivered well and to as many people or as many businesses or as many users as possible. So profit then becomes the output of a business. And if you think about it that way, the first question then you have to ask yourself before even thinking of scaling is, why are you doing business? What is it that you are hoping to achieve? What do you believe drives your work? And before you scale, you really need to clarify the problem that you're solving, because you cannot scale with an unclear mind. What is it that your customer is trying to get done when they buy from you? And as you grow in business, you find that business even starts asking you even more questions. When I started out my architectural firm, the very first thing I ever started out, I was just looking to pay rent, pay school fees. So why did I exist? I had a skill. I was pretty decent at it. I had developed networks like Richard had said, and I could deliver it to a few people. And I started seeing, okay, fine, I'm making a little bit of money. But as your business grows, it wants to know why it's there. And you start asking yourself, why this particular business? And these are the questions that you start answering. The purpose, the vision, sorry, this is meant to be vision, and the values. Why would you want to work with? And as much as it seems as if they might be corporate items, they are really essential because they help you start clarifying your problem, why you do it, what drives your need for you to do it. Yeah. What are the things that will govern your everyday to day work? What are the values that will govern what you're trying to do? So even as you grow and your business, it will start demanding that you clarify it even more. Now, businesses have stages. I don't know which one yours is, but you find that the early businesses, the 1 to 3, sometimes to 5 years old, we might call them that they are in toddler stage. Why are they in toddler stage? Because they are surviving on your energy, on your instinct, and a lot of times on hope, that things will work out. Yeah. And you find that at that stage of toddler, the biggest risk is burnout. And you do burn out a few times here and there. And when you burn out, then you start realizing, I cannot do this thing alone. So you start leveraging on people, on teams, and you start getting a bit big. And that's when you get to what we call the teenage phase, what I would call the teenage phase, where you're growing fast and you're questioning everything. Everything is about growth. You're just growing here, you're growing left, and you're realizing, okay, fine, I think my customers are not getting as much value as I should. So here you're thinking about, okay, I need structure. But because you're not yet into that stage of scale completely, you're still the person in the middle of every project. You know where every project is, who's delivering in every project. You want structure, yes, but you don't want it too much because you also want to flow in and out. And then it gets to the point where your business demands, in fact, it starts throwing you out because you can't be everywhere. It's not sustainable. So it starts spitting you out in small pockets. You spat out there, you spat out there. So you start realizing now you really need systems and you need discipline. That's where you find people going and getting ISO certification now because they also want to be audited for systems. Yeah. So that, and processes and policies, because these things, systems, processes, and policies, they translate your vision, if you're clear, to even the sweeper who's going to be sweeping in that enterprise. Because it breaks down everything to what should be done at what time, where, and how. And people run away from this when they're thinking of scaling, but it is really the only way to scale. And one of the best ways is get a reputable organization to grade you on those systems. ISO is a perfect way to do it. There are many others out there. But here you start saying, we cannot grow by doing things the old way. And this is now where you start scaling, because then now you're lending the delivery of value into systems and promises. And then, of course, now after that, you move to what we see around as mature adults. They're resilient, they've evolved, and they're trying to now to remain relevant to what is happening. So the first thing, if you want to think about yourself as an expert and you want to move into an enterprise, I encourage everyone to go and do a business model canvas. This is a very simple sheet. These are some of the questions that are asked in that sheet. And you can get it on the internet and everywhere. And the internet can also give you business model canvases for very many businesses world over for you to compare and look at and learn. And basically, this thing, again, allows you to clarify what value you're giving. What is your value proposition? So defining that thing that makes customers come back to you over and over again. And it is not necessarily a product, because you could have 10 people selling the same product, but people are buying from one. So you ask yourself, what does this person give? What is his value proposition? What value do people derive by going to that shop? So what value do people derive by coming from me? And if you define the value as yourself, then you cannot scale. Because if you are the product, then it will be difficult to scale, unless now you want to be, even when you're a motivational speaker, you cannot scale if you're the only one doing it. You become the product, but the product has to scale. And the product probably is going online and delivering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and many other business models that are there. It's probably writing books. It's probably, and you're not the product, probably the message People are coming to you because of the message that you give. That's the value people are getting from you, not you as an individual and not me as Vicky. So defining your value proposition, sitting down with someone if you feel you can't do it very well, and getting this done together with an expert, one of the best things you can do for yourself. Then defining your customer segments, and you can start with one or two, because as your business grows, this business model canvas, you'll keep going back to it to refine it over and over again. You know, as it moves from teenager and goes to young adults. How do you get your customers? Define them so that you're no longer, you know, going door to door, door to door. And if you've been in business as a consultant, maybe 1 to 3 years, it asks you to figure out where have most of your customers been coming from and how could you replicate that. There's a gentleman who told me every time he speaks, he gets customers, or he gets people coming, or what we call leads. He gets leads, they come, and he can translate them. So what does he do? He looks for speaking opportunities. And because he's scaling, he then puts people in the audience who are able to take the people who ask him questions, and they're able to go to them and talk to them and onboard them as leads and potential clients. So how do you get your customers? Document your channel so that you can replicate it. Keep hearing that word, replicate it. What relationships do they expect? Because you're not the person who's going to be selling. It has to be replicated to the other people in the organization. What playbook will you give them about the relationships? So what relationships have you been having with your clients that keeps them coming to you? Where is the actual money? Show me the money. Where is the revenue coming from? Yes. For profiles, we have several revenue streams we have built over the last 11 years. Assessments is a big one for us. Our revenue from our psychometric assessments is still the biggest source of revenue for us. So we have to pay attention to that. But what have we done? We've slowly diversified as we've been growing. And you'll see that that's another thing about scaling business. What are the key activities you'll be doing? If you're a consultant, like in my world, some of the things we do is train, coach, run assessment centers and things like that. So you have to define that. What are your key resources? I need people more than anything else. Of course, I need money and I need an office. But I could do without an office as long as I had people. Yeah. So what are the key things, and can you rate them in the way that you need them? Who are your partners? Who are the suppliers that you absolutely cannot work without? You prioritize their payments every single day because they are a big part of your business. Who do you deliver with? What's your cost structure? Are you a cost plus? So you do your costs and then you add a certain margin, and that gives you your price because you've marked it up, and that margin allows for the variable costs in between, which is the overheads that you happen to have. If you're in consultancy, you know, then it's time-based costing. How much is your hour? How much is your day? Yeah, and how can you replicate that? Yeah, for some people, you're in an industry where your cost is regulated. So what you have to do is work backwards to your cost efficiency. Yeah. So all those things count in you being able to clarify your business. And the other thing about clarifying your business is that when it comes now to the actual activities that a business does, you'll be very clear. You'll be very clear on where you need to put what. Now, another mindset is on marketing. Marketing is the engine of growth. If you're thinking of moving from from expert into enterprise, you have to embrace marketing, not as a cost, because that's the other thing we look at. And you're like, we're spending so much, we're going to be spending so much on this and this and this, even before the money has come in. But without spending money on anything, you are not gaining visibility. To be able to grow into an enterprise, you have to grow the awareness of what you're doing, of what you're delivering, of your brand. So you have to then think about how and where do I market? How do I generate my leads? How do I prospect? Because the bigger my pipeline, the larger my surface of awareness, the more I am guaranteed that I am going to get buyers into my market. Selling is a fundamental skill for anyone who wants to run a business. And you have to be good at it. You have to be good at it because you also have to understand the sales process. You have to understand it enough to be able to also give it to someone else and help them understand the sales process. Any person given your sales process should be able to sell your product. They just need to be able to understand a few fundamentals and probably then give time. So how do you create your sales conversations? What's your sales process like, which is like your buyer journey? And more importantly, for you, what do you believe about sales? Do you believe sales just comes? Yeah. If you show up, the sales will come, or do you believe that you have to be proactive? And for a business that wants to scale, it's all about getting it into proactivity. And then systems, processes, policies, which I have talked about. Eventually, your business needs to rely not on you to get it done right. It needs to have all these things that I'm talking about documented. And people, that's why sometimes you step back and now take the role of coach and mentor. Because I had a young man telling me, I have this business and I have these things I need to sell, but I'm not getting the right salespeople. Like, have you trained them? I want them to be able to sell, but I don't want to be there to train. You have to dedicate quite a chunk of your time if you're moving to scaling towards upskilling your people, coaching them, especially your key people, into what they need to do and how they need to do it. And for entrepreneurs or for you as a consultant, you may feel like this is removing you from time that is necessary, that you could be selling or working or doing or getting things right. But remember, you sometimes have to take a big step back and then catapult yourself into a bigger direction. So this process you cannot skip. It has to be done. It is the only way to be able to start scaling systems, processes, policies. Think about yourself and the kind of leader you are. I had to go into a coaching intervention when I realized that I was no longer the expert. I needed to move from the expert into the business leader. And that's a different, and I'm not saying I'm there because I'm still struggling here and there, but some of these things are not very obvious to us as experts. We have been doing what we have been doing and we've been so good at it for a long time. We cannot see some of the blind spots that then we create. So leading yourself and leading others, investing in your soft skills, investing in resilience architecture, because man scaling, you need shock absorbers like I don't know what. Everything just happens at every time. It's like that movie, everything, everywhere, all at once. Yeah, because it's just so much going on. So investing in a good mentor who can then be able to take you through all the things that you might not be seeing is essential. And then, of course, the power of governance that gives you accountability, structure, and best practice. You cannot, again, scale sustainably. And the word here is sustainably if these things are not in effect. So foundations of a consultancy, and those are just a few of the things that you need to line up and to start thinking about. There may be a couple more. And one that I haven't mentioned is finance. And finance is fundamental. It took me time. I share this. It took me 10 years to be forced to attend an accounting class, because the books, suddenly I realized they were my business and my business. And I knew a little bit about the books, but now the nitty-gritties that I kept ignoring were coming back to bite me. So finance is another really, really important thing that you as a consultant then have to also take on, because you have to understand the financial health of your business at any time, and not from the details. Just by looking at a set of accounts, you know something is right or something is wrong. And then you can be able to go deep down, because when you're scaling, it's not the details that you want, it's stories that you want to hear from the numbers. And you have to practice that actively for you to start getting good at it. So foundations of consultancy. What keeps consulting firms alive? It is our client relationships. I know this person, I know this other person. This one has been giving me business for 3 or 4 years, and we have created trust in these relationships. So it is inherently relational, not transactional. And long-term partnerships are very, very essential for the growth of this business. And at some time, it becomes very big. The other thing that is a foundation for consultancy is credibility. And we invest a lot in being known as the experts in our field, in being able to constantly deliver quality to the people that we serve. And then most of us in the consulting industry, we specialize, Vicky, psychometric assessments provider. That's a speciality. I'm a coach and I coach executive leaders, or I coach for the mindset. I'm a human resource consultant. So we're looking for niche areas that then give us a steady flow of income. Yeah. And we really focus or really build on these particular items. But if we are to talk about scaling, then we have to think a bit different. The first thing, like I mentioned, is systems and methodologies. And those systems come in that same funnel that I've talked about. It's not just systems and methodologies of how you deliver on that service that you want to deliver. It's on how you market it. It's on how you sell it. It's on how you support the client journey. It's on how you possibly get enough data on monitoring and evaluation to see whether you made an impact. Because now you're not the one who's going to be going there to check whether the client was happy, but you need that data. You need a way of people keying in. So you think about what can I replicate at this particular time? What is it that I'm doing that I can replicate so that the next person can do it? And this will enable you to start delegating consistently. The second thing you need is, how do you diversify? What are the other things that comes with the consulting that you're giving? What are the other services that you have seen you've been asked to deliver here and there? And can you tap into those and possibly get other leads to drive them? So how can you diversify your consulting portfolio so that it's not just one? And then when you diversify it, maybe you can get strategic partners to deliver that for the time being as you create that as a new revenue stream. And also you can decide to get someone to lead it if the revenue allows. And then the third thing is getting into collaborations and alliances. And this allows you to have larger projects available to you, to form consortiums. And once you get access to bigger opportunities and bigger contracts, again, you're then placing your firm in a place of growth. You're going to require a lot more in terms of manpower, maybe in terms of even technical expertise. And again, that allows you to start moving or start growing your firm slowly by slowly. So pillars of growth. 1, replicable systems. What I would, if you're listening to me today and you're possibly a consultant who's been thinking about this, what I would advise is first sit back and see of the things that you're offering, which ones are repeated, which ones have a consistent way of delivery, and start with those, and then standardize that offer. So for example, I'm a coach. So I say, yes, each client of mine is different. That's true. But coaching has a system. There's a discovery call, there are other calls in between, there's a report. If that's the product, can I write it out for what it is and then sell it as a product? And that's what it means by productized services. It's a repeatable solution. It doesn't need me to be the one to deliver, but it's a product I am selling. So I am selling executive coaching. I have a form you fill. Once you fill it, we take you on a discovery call. I don't even have to do the discovery call. After we're done with the discovery call, you go through then a pipeline of selection of coaches. You pick a coach. And once you're done, there's a report. We have a template for that is written down. It's uploaded somewhere in a certain template. We can analyze your feedback and see what there are other recommended steps. Are you going to be handed over to another person, another day? You've productized that service. Yeah. And every time you're able to to deliver a product with minimal customization. Now you're changing from the mindset, no, every client of mine has a relationship with me, and so there's a way they like doing their things too. I need to be able to deliver these things at scale and sell to different clients. So that's having different products and then having systems that you can replicate. And you can start with one and then follow through. And then, of course, strategic partnerships is another way that you can pick on. Talk to Richard. What is his core business? Yeah. What is it that you're looking now as a person who wants to grow and scale to deliver? And does it need Coach Richard? Does it need Grace as a partner? And you can start delivering together. So then it again grows the portfolio that you require to start scaling your business. So strong networks, strong partnerships. Survival provides access to clients and funding. Scaling multiplies these connections. You are not just having 4 or 5 or 6 people. You're going to this place, you're amplifying the business that you've done. You are then creating champions for yourself and the work that you've done. You're accepting this and proactively going after these opportunities, yeah, and these new connections for more business, instead of staying with this one and saying, yeah, this is my client, asking them, introduce me to that. You're going on socials, you're amplifying that message, you're getting new connections coming on board. You are now not shying away, because the thing about being your consultant is then you tend to get to that place where you cannot deliver because you don't have the networks. You haven't created the networks to be able to deliver on such big projects. Or secondly, you have not also leveraged on your internal talent to be able to ensure that you're not required at all the time. And then the last thing is, I think I talked about it, the clear value proposition, knowing your why. And knowing your why helps you scale and refine the value that you're going to give to your diverse market. So some people talk about funding. And while a lot of, in fact, there was a talk that was given at a breakfast we threw as a Federation for Women in Business, and talked about fear. The thing that consultants fear most is what they call debt. But you have to look at debt in a different way, as an enablement to you scaling. So usually when you think about your consulting, you're happy when, it's cushioned. You're getting enough money just by, you have a bit of cushion, and that's okay, because that's a stress-free environment. But if you want to scale, you have to switch your mindset a little bit, because it means that you will demand for investment. So whether that investment comes as another partner who comes and puts in money, whether it comes as a bank loan, these are things you have to consult and find out. Whether it comes from your savings, yeah, which is a very scary thing to do, because I don't think you should ever fund your business from your savings. If it tanks, you tank with it. So you should really be looking for funding opportunities from other investors, from banks, because a business is a business. If a business feels the loan is owed by the business usually. And there are so many other ways that you can fund your business. There is access to stock refinancing, which means that you can utilize cycles of funding to be able to grow this capital base that you want. And of course, we have a whole host of venture capital. If you think your business is in that phase, it's delivering something that you can pitch at one of these venture capital initiatives and get funding. So we do have a big funding gap, but I do believe sometimes also for us, and not just as women, because this is a woman statistics, even as men, one of the reasons why it is people are not asking of enough money is a knowledge gap, not knowing where to ask the money from or how to fund businesses, and also that fear of losing your business to other people or other funders, and that's something founders really suffer from. Losing your business model, it being taken over by other people. The other thing is that fear of being chased to now be able to produce results because you accepted someone's money. That's a real fear. For me, it's a real fear for me. So there are many reasons, but the thing is to ask yourself why. Every single time you ask yourself why, the most important question, why am I doing this? If your why is solid, then this become avenues of fulfilling that purpose, fulfilling that why. And that is why clarifying that is really, really important. So internal factors for sustained growth, I'm sure some of these are things you know, talent and teaming. Survival, if it relies on you, but scaling requires diverse teams. So intentionally, one of the things I did when I was just starting out is, and this was helped by a coach, he told me, Vicky, yes, you're here, you're alone, but what does this business need to survive? So I had to draw a structure of what the business required to survive, marketing. And yeah, it became apparent to me that I was doing all those things myself. So I was a chief marketing officer, chief accounting officer, chief people officer. I was all those chiefs, there's a meme where it shows an entrepreneur having a meeting with all his chiefs, and all his chiefs are himself, because that's where you are. And doing that structure starts clarifying for you which of these will be the first that you need to diversify. Where is the first place you will need help? Yeah. So that even the way that you are then starting to onboard either partners or a team is very clear, and you're not just being very reactionary, I need help. This project is too much. Well, Nani, Ebu send me that sister of yours. See, anataka kazi. You get that one. Then the other one comes. Then before you know it, your workplace is full of people but really you're thinking, I'm doing a lot more myself because the people that I hired do not have the required skills and I don't have the time to train them. So it really does help. It helps you be clear. Even when you're seeking for that cousin, you know where that cousin is supposed to fall, because you don't have to have expensive labor sometimes when you're starting out. So you're now being intentional about creating without your constant presence. And then how will you anticipate and lead change? How are your offerings going to evolve? I can tell you for free. You start with a product, and you're so sure in your mind, you sit, you and brainstorm with people, this is the one. You take it to market, it tanks, it just looks back at you and says, now so we do what now? And you've invested in that product. Yeah. So you're constantly back on the drawing board. What's wrong with this thing? Why isn't it working? And it's a real pain, because there's money involved, there's salaries involved, there's so much. So how are you going to also ensure that you're also adaptable? Because what happens is, if you're not adaptable, you've put out a product, you've decided that that's the one that's going to happen, it's not working. Someone says, you cannot boil a stone. No matter how much you boil the stone, you cannot eat it. So you need to be able to be that versatile person that keeps changing a product until it works. Yeah. And then visibility and branding. I talked about this from the very beginning. You want to scale, you have to be comfortable with being seen. And if you don't want to be seen, then you have to find a way to find your organization to be seen. You have to raise its awareness. And the thing about scaling is that people tend to trust people more, or they tend to trust businesses with a story behind them more. And that story is best told by the person who created that business. So you have to find a way of creating so much awareness. And this means that you are strategically positioning yourself to be on the top of mind of the people that have that need that you're fulfilling. So what's the compelling story? Are you sitting down with someone, and if this is not your forte, and working out how you're going to keep your brand present across all channels? And you've seen brands do this. You've seen, someone come and they're having a brand that they've just launched, and because they know they want it to catch quicker, what do? They put the founder there. Their founder stories becomes the expert and all those things. Then there are mini stories and hype on digital. What are you doing? You are positioning yourself for scale. So you cannot rely on word of mouth. Word of mouth is going to give you growth, but possibly if you're talking about scaling, I don't think it will give you that kind of sustained growth. So one of the other things I find about marketing, if I can talk a little bit about scaling, is so the thinking about what are the most useful ways of you also to brand. And you find that, and this is a talk I was giving, I think last week, but one, and I was saying you have 2,000 followers. And then what you need to be thinking about is with these 2,000 followers, what are you getting from them? If you're just posting content on socials for people to see, and how do you know you're posting content for people to see? It has no call to action. Yeah. It doesn't ask people to do anything with that content. So you're raising your brand. That's okay. But then you have to have messages that ask people to do something. Do you want to enroll to a course? Do you want to enroll to a newsletter? Do you want to book a demo? All those things. So as experts, we tend to share a lot about what we're doing, about our knowledge, about blah, blah, blah. And that's okay because it grows your visibility. But at a point, you need to start monetizing that visibility for yourself and for your business. Yeah. And so at that point, one of the things is to generally treat all the posts as lead generation enterprises, which then have another relied on or worked out system that they're nurtured, and then they are also converted to clients. So that's how you move from having 2,000 followers to actually having your social media helping your business to grow in sales. So those are just some of the mindsets that then have to shift when you're thinking about scale. And one of them is understanding the use of social media and digital presence, especially today's age, because I think the statistic is that 24% of all the world's businesses right now are coming from the e-commerce angle or are coming from socials. So you cannot ignore the fact that even the way people are buying is changing, and it's changing quickly. So I think those are the things that I would like to share today about from expert to enterprise. And as you reflect on where you are currently, where would be an area that you'd be likely to start? Is it systems? Is it partnerships? Is it building your team? You know that if you addressed this, it would have the most significant impact on your journey from expert to enterprise. And with that, I think I would like to hand it back to you, Richard, to take any.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Vicky, you've done an amazing job of generating very important pointers on how we can scale our business. I have seen that you've said that we need to create partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, we can write our questions on the Q&A, not
Richard,
on the chat.
I never asked.
Oh, good, good, good. You're hiding behind. How is Mombasa, though?
Mombasa is amazing, 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 amazing. The Congress is very good. We have started on a high note.
Very good.
Yeah, so I have a question, Vicky. What happens to when people do business with you, as in like they want you to be everywhere? How do you manage? Like it's you they want. I don't know. I'm sure you get what I'm saying.
Yes, 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 yes. So first, think about your service, yeah? Whatever it is that you're delivering, think about that service. And I was talking about that business canvas mapping, very, very important thing. Clarify that service, break it down to stages, right? Where, for example, what do you call it? This is how I acquired the customer. This was the first interaction. Maybe I don't know what we did here. This was billing, these are that and the other. So look at that stage very, very well. Then begin to understand where you as the entrepreneur, the founder, will make the most significant impact and begin reducing your time, yeah, towards that particular segment. But before you do that, the second or the third thing that I talked about, I can't remember the points, building your talent, ensuring that they deliver, remember, in the same way. So documenting that process of delivery must have been done. And most likely, and that's why I say you have to spend time with your staff delivering for you to ensure that it's actually happening. And that's where I think we lose it, because you're like, this training and mentoring is taking a bit too long. But once you get that right, that means you are delegating for a consistent delivery. So you look at your process, find out where you're required most. That's where you show up. And then for clients who you're trying to win them off you, because that's what you're really trying to do, you have to maintain possibly the phone call with them for some time. But if this person is delivering the value that they are looking for, there should be no problem. And the only thing that you end up doing is client relationship. Now, as you grow, these things take 1 or 2 years with different clients. You will find that even the relationship manager in your organization starts to manage that relationship. And you even find that across the organization, there's a person who you need to manage and you have to map this out. That's why it's important, again, to look at your work. This is the level that I have to manage, and this is the level that is, time intensive. This person needs to manage this person, because if they don't manage this person, then this person starts asking where I am. Do you get what I'm saying? So it becomes even a matrix of management of relationships. So you're like, your person is that person, and you have to constantly ensure that you're speaking to them or making sure that the project is being managed and they are happy, while you're doing the talent bit. So sometimes you cannot get away immediately with client relationship management. Eventually you do, but it takes some time.
Is that it, Grace?
Yes, that is a good answer. And while I have the mic, I might just there's somebody who on the chat was saying that we need to do a webinar on how to transition from 9 to 5 to consultancy. And we have done that. If you go to our YouTube channel, you will also find that I think we did it late last year, transitioning to consulting business. You can be able to check that and then combine it with today. Yes, Richard.
Vicky, if you look at statistics of names that go to the company registrar, after a few months or years, you will discover that they have died along the way. What accounts for these failures? And they're huge.
Yeah. So first is the first thing I talked about. Do you have a problem to solve? Many of us wake up, with a passion. Let me tell you, Richard, I love people. And I can see how I'm going to make a difference with people. What are you going to do with people? What service are you delivering? It's always the first question. What problem are you looking to solve? And if you get the problem wrong in the first place, it's not doom. It's telling you, it's giving you feedback that you need to re-engineer what you thought was going to work. So you're not solving the problem, or there's someone else solving that problem, either at a cheaper rate than yours, giving better value than you. So all these things have to think about. Second problem is you yourself. You're your biggest saboteur. You come very unprepared. The consultancy leadership entrepreneur journey is a very difficult one. It is a very difficult one. And a lot of us start business. I remember when I left architectural, wherever I was working, and started my own firm, I was fortunate enough to meet my uncle who had been in business for a long time. So he told me, congratulations, you are now out. I said, yeah. Then I told him, me, I know, now I'm going to make the real money. So he laughed, and told me, hey, Jerry, that's my Kikuyu name. You're still in the morning. The sun is still nice. Within 3-4 years, you will hit midday. The sun will be hot. There'll be no money. But if you can survive there and go to the 6th, 7th year, you'll be fine. What was he telling me? He was giving me he was actually telling me, stop expecting a lot, my dear. Things are actually very, very tough. So arming yourself with good shock absorbers. If you're not young, me, when I started business, I was young. My overheads, family-wise, my kids were due in kindergarten. My overheads were not many. But imagine I'm starting now, sijui I have university children, sijui I have what, I have bills like this. I cannot just wake up one morning and decide I'm starting business. So financial shock absorbers are real, because if you don't have them, how are you going to take care of yourself? Unless now you say, to hell with everything, I've gone to the village and I'm going to start my business from there. Your friends, mentors and coaches in the business, these are real shock absorbers for you as you journey onto the journey into the world of business. And going to events, one of the things that really helped me is going to events and meeting other entrepreneurs, listening to their stories, seeking out someone I thought was along my line of work, hearing their insights, getting advice from them, because where I started out from 11 years ago is not where I am today. So two things. Oh, and another one, underfunding. And underfunding also comes from not understanding your business model well. So you go in, you decide it needs 6 months of funds, you require it needed 2 years. Not understanding your business model well. But again, with the right kind of resilience, you can work through that pole.
We appreciate your uncle for giving you a heads up. There is a question by CHRP Joseph Wanyeki. He is asking, for example, you are Vicky and you're working for Grace. How do you balance working for Grace and doing your side hustle?
Okay. Now here is where I have to put a disclaimer, because I have never done both. But I can perhaps give a story about being in the architectural practice and trying to run profiles. And we do that mainly because your finances are being supported from one end and this other person is growing. But to fully grow this other person, it needs the same amount of dedication. So you have to cheat one or the other if you're doing both. I believe that you have to think proactively and think about where you need to terminate one contract. That's what I think. You at some point you're going to have to if you're thinking of scaling, I'm not talking about side hustle where you have 2 matatus, 3 matatus. Those ones are just to give you kitchen money, ile pesa yaku. That is just support. But if you're really thinking of growing an enterprise, there's no way. You cannot grow an enterprise in 2 places.
Now that reminds me the question of personality, and you're in the space of personality assessment and testing. Are there personality traits that are well suited for business? The other question that I'm seeing on the board is by Yvonne Peter. She's asking how to operate within the resources you have. For example, you have 1 million. How do you operate a business and you have only 1 million? What do you do?
So I'll take the last question first. How do you operate within 1 million? I think if you find yourself operating above 1 million, your business is giving you feedback. And especially if you're following the numbers, if you're looking at where your expenses are and you're not seeing where you're cutting. You see, I'm assuming that the person who asked this question has their numbers visible. So they can see where the money is coming in from and the expenses are going out, and they're seeing they're not able to contain. So 2 things are happening. One, they are not costing the whatever they're selling well enough. So the business variables are eating into the margins. And that means that they have to look at their costing model. 2, maybe they're not selling enough of whatever it is that they have. So they have maybe, I don't know, expenses or even employees that have more, that are being paid more than they are really making. So I would advise this person, first go look at your finances, sit with someone, look at your cost centers, see whether, and then look at your not balance sheet, your profit and loss. Look at your margins. Do your margins make sense? Are you actually selling at a loss even before you come to other expenses? So it is feedback that your business is giving you. Is it time for funding? Is it that now your business has so many requests, but you haven't yet caught up in terms of maybe, because like my business, we get paid after some time. So sometimes our requests are so much, we are drowning, but we know we're getting money in the future. So that's a funding gap. Yeah. So you have to ask yourself these questions and you have to answer honestly.
There was the second question about personality.
Personality. I don't believe so. I have met businessmen of all personalities. I think each personality brings its problems. One of the problems I know I bring to my business is the need to get things done, because my personality is the dominant side. So I'm pushy and I want to get things done. It also means that I leave out a lot of details because I'm chasing a goal. So I need to surround myself with people who are more focused on what could go wrong because I'm too optimistic. You see, that's how personalities play into it. Whereas someone else thinks about the risks, and so they never grow. They're always, in fact, you've met 2 or 3 partners and they're complaining about each other. This one only sees the risks. Every time we show him something, he starts telling us how things could go wrong because that's their personality. And for the beauty of knowing your personality is to understand that I could be, overcomplicating ventures. So I need to have people who can give me a more objective answer. That's my answer to you, Richard.
Very good. Other 2 questions as we wait other people to generate questions, although we are running short of time. The other question is this. If you look at the other reason why business go to 6 feet under, it is fear of being audited, welcoming auditing of processes, auditing of procedures. They fear that element, either by default or design. They fear being audited. Mention why this is important and why do people fear their business being audited, for example? Not necessarily in taxes, but for example, human auditing, culture auditing, etc., etc.
Okay. Sometimes I think it is a problem of, for me, where when I started out, there were certain ways of doing things. And I knew that some of those things, not that they were not kosher, but I knew there were a lot of loopholes in them. And being a person who tries to get things done right, my mindset towards audit at that time is that they're looking for what is wrong. And that's what audits are. They're looking for what is wrong. And I stuck with that mindset. But the truth of an audit is that it is supposed to show you the gaps in your business. It's actually a beautiful thing. So let me tell you another reason why businesses fail. You don't manage your cash flow effectively. Yeah. It comes in, it goes out, it comes in, it goes out. You find even you're not even paying yourself enough and things like that. You will never know. And then maybe you pay yourself this money, you pay yourself that money. So if people come here and audit, they're going to be seeing how much money has been going where? On the side. Yeah. But your business will never understand how it can manage its cash better if you don't go through a financial audit. Yeah. And even how your cash flow can be managed in a way, even to yourself, that allows you to take advantage of certain KRA rebates, processes, policies. We are so used to doing things around here. What do we fear? That now we will not have the freedom, won't have the agility to deliver the way we deliver. Richard is my friend. So when he calls me for assessments, I just tell the lady who works with me, that one serve haraka sana. But then Grace calls me, I'm like, Grace has to go through the process. Mwambie kwanza tunataka LPO. Those things, we don't want them exposed, I think, sometimes. But if you ask me, and that's why I said at the beginning, having someone like ISO audit you is a big plus for your business. Is a big plus for your business.
Lastly, and as you prepare for your parting shot, because we are 2 minutes into our time, scalability requires talent, as you've mentioned at some point. How do you choose your partners? How do you decide to choose your partners for scalability?
Okay. There's a theory. And the theory dictates that you look at your values, you look at the business, what it needs. So if you look at the business and it needs money, it needs expertise. So maybe I'm a techie person, have this product that is technical. I know I need someone who's good at selling a business, a BD, maybe partners, what I need, someone who's got strong networks, is going to take me into 1, 2, 3 places. I need someone with the money. That's basically how businesses look around. But how do we actually get partners? Richard, you and I sit down, we decide there's a problem here and it looks like it's worth solving. You have money, I have money, or maybe I don't have money, I have expertise, you have money, we come together. And as we come together along the way, we discover maybe it doesn't work. I think you can work with a lot of people if you begin right, but sometimes you only begin right after you've been burnt 1 or 2 times. And that's why people are burnt 1 or 2 times and then they prefer to work alone. What do I mean begin right? Structure that partnership. Let it be clear. Clarity and lack of clarity is the mother of very, very many problems in businesses. Have proper exit clauses, because we always assume when you're starting a business, there's no exiting. Have proper exit clauses. Assume someone will want to leave even tomorrow. Yeah, that are fair to both people, because what happens is now I decide I'm tired with you. I start saying I'm going to sell my stake to someone else. I have not given you any option to be able to acquire that other part. And then the whole relationship goes to the dogs. So start properly. Have a framework that governs that business. Take the time, I think. And disagreements in business are normal. It happens every single time. You just need to make sure that when it happens, there's a framework to be able to address it. Yeah.
Your parting shot, what do you want us not to forget?
Let me first answer this question. Please allow me to answer. How do you handle employees who want to be paid more, yet your business is not making much? There are many avenues. One of the most useful ones is giving a stake in your company. But us founders find it difficult. But trust me, it's better you give a stake to someone who you value, who you don't want to lose, because they give you a lot more value in the end. Your company ends up being more valuable. That's one of the easiest way that I know. Or give them, because most people are not in BD, they may not be able to take a retainer and then earn commission by business that they bring, although that's another way you could do it. So that's the most common way that I know people have done it. So my last parting shot is the individual, you yourself, sometimes is the most important thing in that business at all times. Because a lot of businesses also die because of founders getting exhausted. And just when you reach the point you could have scaled, you die. And immediately you lose that energy, scaling becomes irrelevant. You're tired of looking for teams. You hear you don't have money, there's another big funding gap, you don't want to listen. So you get tired of trying. I think you should be very aware of yourself as you go through this journey, whether it's at a toddler, whether it's at a teenager, whether it's at a young adult, cultivating that internal resilience. Please, not the way we define it as Kenyans. Kenyans, we design resilience as how much I can take. That is not resilience. It is keeping your internal bandwidth at a place that it is manageable, most times at least. That is the best gift you can give to yourself and to your business. Constantly upskilling, taking care of yourself, getting mentored, and getting help and getting teams, etc., etc. That's my parting shot, Richard.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let us appreciate Vicky Karuga. She has given us a very good points that we can invest in. She has mentioned the concept of networking. And
Richard,
that is why. Yes, please.
Vicky, you have not told us how we can join women in
Gosh, yes. I did mention at the very, very beginning that actually Grace and I are part of what we call the Women in Business Forum, and it is it is a forum for which we put women entrepreneurs together, and they meet other like-minded women who can then words are lose me. One, You meet other like-minded women, you can exchange ideas, you can learn from them. You also get to participate in various capacity building programs. What I have talked about today are things I've also heard over time through these programs and gotten to understand. We get you experts on board who can help you through various matters, let's say tax, human resource. And then you get to also come and be part of our trade initiatives. We have a motto where it says, meet, trade, grow. We want you to meet other women. We want you to trade with other women, whether it's online or through our physical forums. And we want you to grow and be wealthy. We exist to help women create wealth. And we are part of the COMESA, Federation for Women in Business. So you have access to about 21 countries that you can do business with, whether it's goods or services. And I'm going to be giving a flyer so that then you can see the rates. We have the individual member who can pay 5,000. We also have the women who's a business leader who can pay 20,000. And we also have a rate of 10,000 for associations. But I will share that with Grace and Richard, and then you can also send as an email to all the participants. And I do hope to see you there. Great forum.
Fantastic. That is very good information. And you've mentioned the concept of networking. And in Meru, we are going to network. Vicky, I hope to see you there. And everybody who is in this call, let us go to Meru. Don't suffer that complex we call Venus complex, where you think Nairobi is where business is. You can go to Meru and be given an account, and you'll get surprised. So let us meet in Meru on the 5th, right, Jacinta? The 5th of June. The event will start at 4 and it will travel until the way hours of the night, as we talk about business, as we talk about taxation, as we talk about emerging issues in law. Thank you so much for creating time. May you be blessed with business accounts. May you be blessed with knowledge. Have yourself a good night.